I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 20th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight-shooting tulathromycin injection, really a generic Draxin, that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and most importantly for your bottom line. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards. Big run, guys. The market has, or the run has responded to the market, and there's a lot of backgrounders in the four-state area there. And of course, Joplin is the foremost market in that area. And after guys saw what happened late last week, they have rounded them up. They're going to start at 4 a.m. at Joplin, and they're expecting 11,000 head. There'll be a lot of big yearlings, a lot of grazing yearlings, a lot of calves, a lot of everything. Get on, view, and bid that sale at DVAuction.com. Immediate chain reaction, and this all happened last week as it's just a culmination of everything that happened. But the board was real friendly last week. We were feeling good about things. Your fat cattle sellers that sell in a negotiated manner, especially the ones in the northern plains, because there's not hardly any left in the southern plains, they held to their guns. They dug, even though they were looking at a real nice basis there. They held to their guns, and they waited and waited that market out. Things kept coming along. You know, it was a build-up all week. No fat cattle trade. The board was staying friendly all week. Then the box beef cutout values were just launching, and we've been waiting for that. We talked here several visits ago about the market needing some headroom, and we needed the box beef cutout values to gain some ground. They gained a lot of ground over the last week to 10 days there, up way over $15. And we just kept seeing big gains there, big gains there. Packers kept saying they were going to cut kills, and indeed they did cut the kills back. But if they're going to stay in the beef business, they've got to have cattle to slaughter because they've got needs they've got to fill too, and they've got promises they've got to keep to their customers. But things just kept rolling along, and then Friday it was just coming to a head. And then on Friday morning, the board held up. We come out with our noon box beef. It was up again. Packers finally gave in and bought fats sharply higher. Sharply higher. I'm talking $3 to $5 higher live in the northern plains. Back up to near all-time record levels. And so everybody was feeling good about it. The board followed through, and then immediately your feeder buyers in your auctions that were still going on Friday afternoon, and then the few that we have on Saturday, they immediately took up all the slack in the market there. If it opened up a little bit where it looked like there was some opportunity to buy cattle that would easily make some money, they bid against each other, took all that slack out like they always do, and put us right up against the button again. Of buying some cattle that appear that they'll work. But the market is on a big gangbusters right now, guys. We don't see any black swans out there that can stop us. So the next chain reaction that happened after the feeder buyers were really aggressive and the market got sharply higher on Friday afternoon and where we were at on Saturday. Now we've got big runs expected on Monday. So like I mentioned earlier, Joplin expecting 11,000. Oklahoma National Stockyards said they're only expecting 6,200, but I bet they end up getting more than that. But not sure how the storms are affecting them late in the weekend there. But there'll be some runs around here this week going forward because of that market's come up so much, and those guys that's got ice water running through their veins and they've still got those cattle in loose hands, they'll be bringing them in. Maybe some people that bought cattle thought they were going to turn them out here a little bit later this spring. They might bring theirs in and figure they're going to make as much as they had planned on making all grazing season. But really an impressive market, and just that's how quick the chain reaction happens. Let's talk about your board for last week. June live cattle futures. Monday was down 57, and that's the only down day we had. Tuesday up 260. Wednesday up but just 7 cents. Thursday up 77 cents. Friday up 202 at 181.05. But still a really nice basis for your hedged feeder there, as much as he was staring at all week long at the lower bids. The board came up and the market came up, and he's still sitting pretty there. But that 181.05 on June live cattle up $4.90 for the week. August 179.05 up $4.93. May feeder cattle, they were up every day but one on Wednesday and down just a little. Monday was up 57. Tuesday was up $3.90. Wednesday down just 12 cents on May feeder cattle. Thursday up $1.70, and Friday up $1.87, with your May feeder cattle contracts ending the week at 246.72, up $7.92 for the week. August ended the week at 259.85, up $8.95. The back months gained big, guys. Big opportunity for you guys that haven't locked in your LRPs yet, but really impressive on the board last week. July corn ended the week at 452.5. That was down 3 1/4 cents a bushel for the week. Soybeans ended the week at 12.28, up 23 cents for the week. Kansas City hard red winter wheat was down 36 cents on the week, ending the week at 661 3/4. Fat cattle trade through Thursday, only 2,300 head. And that's what I mean. Kudos to those fat cattle sellers that just held on, even though they wanted to sell the cattle at steady bids middle to late last week, and they held on, and that's what happened on Friday. They got rewarded, and so we had big sales on Friday. But through Thursday of last week, on only 2,300 head in your 5-area feeding region negotiated, live prices were 184 to 190, which was $1 to $2 higher. 187 for the weighted average, which was more than $1 higher than the previous week. Your dress sales from $2.98 to $3, which was roughly $4 higher, and a weighted average of $300 even, which was almost $5 higher. Then on Friday, they got rewarded. Everything held together. They won for the good guys, and we got this market going up again in the right direction. In Iowa on Friday, they sold 9,900 before 2 o'clock, and then there was more sales after that, of course. 11,600 head for the week. Live sales in Iowa 188 to 191. Dress sales from 295 all the way up to 302. That 191 live was just on the one that I know of, regional packer there, but it was a true deal, and I talked to guys that actually got that. Nebraska, 13,700 on Friday. They'd only sold 200 more than that for the whole week. Live sales 188 to 190. Dress sales from 298 to $3. Very narrow spread, heavy on the 190 and the $3 dressed. Kansas, 13,800 sold on Friday, 14,600 for the week. Now they had a spread because we've been talking in recent weeks. We've seen kind of a northern Kansas market going right along with the northern plains, and then the rest of Kansas going with the southern plains. But you had a price range on Friday of live sales in Kansas from 184 all the way up to 190, heavy on the 186, and that's the market in the southern plains, 186. A little bit of $3 dressed in northern Kansas. Texas, kind of late to the party, up through 2 o'clock on Friday, had only sold 300 head at 186, but there's going to be a lot more trade than that. I expect a heavy movement for last week once we get it all rounded up in your late Friday trade. I think it'll be a big movement and going to make us even more current going forward and more opportunities to gain ground, guys. But as a whole, your northern plains was $3 to $5 higher at 190. Dress sales $4 to $5 higher at $3. Southern Plains $2 higher at 186. Really impressive fat cattle market. Box beef cutout values gained big last week. Your weighted average on choice cut sales all of last week was up 996 on the week. The weighted average compared to the previous week's weighted average at 306.74. But your late Friday sales were almost $7 higher than that at almost 313.5. Big gains on your choice on cutout. Select, your weighted average on all of last week's sales, select cuts 293.84, up 579 compared to the previous week's weighted average. And your late Friday sales on select were about $4.50 higher than that, almost 297.50. Big gains, guys. We knew it had to happen. Memorial Day's coming, graduation's coming, summer's coming. It's time to get busy with the grills, guys. Your choice select spread on your weighted average was almost $13. That's more like normal for this time of year. And all of that happened on 557 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter last week was disappointing. They did cut back. It was hard for them to buy cattle, did cut back, but now that we've got a bigger box beef market and demand is so good for beef, they're probably going to get aggressive this week. We'll see what happens. But last week, estimated slaughter 598,000. We hate to see it slip under 600, but that was 24,000 less than the previous week, 42,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 243.97. That was $1.66 higher than the end of the previous week. So big gains there. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 243.04, but it's going to go up big time here the next couple of times it comes out because of their late week and weekend sales. I hope you guys will indulge me here. I'm hurting as I give you this market report. My dear friend Mike Davis has passed away. And Mike and I worked together for over a dozen years. He was with Missouri Department of Agriculture. He was a very good reporter. His heart was in it. He loved what he did. I know you guys in and around Missouri remember his voice. He did over 30 radio broadcasts a day on radio stations all over the Midwest. He always signed off, "This is Mike Davis, your Missouri Department of Agriculture's market news reporter." But I feel so bad for his wife Janine, his daughter Sarah, his grandkids. I feel like he's going to be with his daughter Alicia that passed away several years ago, and probably couldn't wait to see her. But so long, old buddy. But I fear I won't be able to make his funeral because my baby girl's graduating late this week. But man, I sure like Mike Davis. Let's talk about your market last week in your sales. Your trends over last week in your sale barns. It was lower early in the week. A lot of pressure early last week. It was kind of like the previous week. It was lower early in the week, steady to lower, then kind of turned late Tuesday, and then after a big day on the board on Tuesday, it kind of started to turn around. Wednesday, it was moderated because the board was just kind of steady. But then late in the week, turned sharply higher, progressively higher. And Friday afternoon and Saturday sales were just out of sight. $10 higher on feeder type cattle and stockers where they were available. Calves were $3 to $6 higher, but in a lighter test. But I mean, just a monster market late this week. Your big Monday feeder sales are going to be sharply higher cash in your sale barns, guys. If you've got cattle to sell and you've been holding out, what are you waiting on? Here it gets. And I'm going to give you an idea here. I'm not saying you're going to get the prices that they did at Harried, South Dakota, at Harried Livestock Market, but they had a barbecue special there. 7,600 head, Harried, South Dakota, They hadn't had a sale for 3 weeks because they were getting ready for this big special. Had some of my buddies, the best auctioneers in the country, in there helping them. It was your National Beef Wire stick out sale of the day. I don't get their information through Cattle Market Central. It's one of just a handful of sales that I really wish that we got their information through Cattle Market Central, but we don't. But with help from some of my auctioneer buddies and through Federal State Market News, I'm going to give you the rundown that happened there at Harriet on Friday. 244 head of the 6-weight steers averaged 644 with a weighted average price of 306.07. 687 head of 7-weight steers averaged 758 with a weighted average price on all of them weighing over 7.5 at 281.95. Yes, 1,156 head of 8-weight steers, Harriet, South Dakota, they averaged 867 at 255.96. Almost 1,400 head, there was 1,399 head of 9-weight steers, they averaged 949 at 241.93. Heifers, 617 head of 6-weight heifers, averaged 664 at 275.98. 574 head of the 7-weight heifers, averaged 775, way up in there at 249.93. That was steer market, guys, 10 days ago. 319 head of 8-weight heifers, Harriet, South Dakota, averaged 828 at 244.68. Congratulations to them. Big time sale, barbecue special there. A lot of people will remember that for a long time. How about some individual quotes from all around late last week and over the weekend? Bluegrass Stockyards in Campbellsville, Kentucky. I mentioned last week that they have their Holstein special on once a month on Saturday. They had it on Saturday. It was a whiz-bang deal. They sold 62 Holstein steers, weighed 888 at 197.10. How about way out west in California at Turlock Livestock Auction Yard in Turlock, California? They all over the board they sold them high, but this is what really impressed me. 55 steer calves weighed almost 500 pounds, weighed 489 and bring dang near $4 a pound. They bring 389. Big time quote out of Turlock Livestock Auction Yard. How about one that's going to take your hat off? Torrington Livestock Markets in Torrington, Wyoming. I was up in Wyoming over the weekend at Buffalo, Wyoming, but saw this quote out of Torrington. I'm sure these were stocker steers. 63 head, weighed 746 at 311.50. Oh my gosh, but that's not even your top quote for the day. The most impressive quote that I saw late last weekend or over the weekend, and your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Harriet, South Dakota. It was 63 steers, weighed 809 at 284. Pencil those babies out. That's your feeder flash for Monday.